Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Want to talk a little New Orleans Saints right here. Our guy Ross Jackson, who we just had on a little bit earlier, put out an article on LouisianaSports.net talking about camp battles. And he wanted to highlight Danny Stutsman, the fourth-round rookie out of Oklahoma, and whether or not he could have a meaningful role on the defense coming up in 2025. And I think he can. So obviously, when you look at the New Orleans Saints linebacker position, your starters are pretty much set. Pete Werner, Demario Davis. Demario Davis is a franchise staple. I understand that he's getting older, but he's still a productive player. Pete Werner, right there next to him, a solid piece. Both of them have been relatively healthy throughout their time in New Orleans. They are solidified as the go-to options at that position. As far as your interior linebackers, because keep in mind, you're bringing in Brandon Staley. He's traditionally ran that 3-4 defense. You're going to have two interior linebackers and then two more out there on the edge. It's kind of that linebacker D-end hybrid. But outside of Demario Davis and Pete Werner, that spot's up for grabs. Can it be Danny Stutsman? Can Stutsman be the key rotational piece if Demario Davis needs a breather, if Pete Werner needs a breather? When you look at the competitors, there's not a ton of competition. I mean, you have DeMarco Jackson, Nafai Sewell, second-year player Jalen Ford. Like, they're all talented players. Sewell, out of that group, leads the way in the number of defensive starts. And guess how many he has? He's got one. So between DeMarco Jackson, Nafai Sewell, and Jalen Ford, one start, and it belongs to Sewell. Let's look at Sewell real quick. That's his biggest competition, right? So he was a productive player in college, played 5 years at Nevada, then two at Nevada, 3 more at Utah. Not a pass rusher at all, but he's perfect for a 3-4 inside linebacker. He can be a run stuffer. He had over 250 tackles in a 5-year college career. Not a single one of them was a sack, and 24 tackles for a loss. He is your hard-nosed run stuffer. He's not that dissimilar to a guy like Danny Stutsman. Like, they're even similar size. Like, Nafai Sewell, 6 foot, around 230 pounds. Danny Stutsman last year at Oklahoma was listed 6'3", 230 pounds. So they're very similar builds. Go look at Stutsman. 4-year starter at Oklahoma. 376 tackles over a 4-year career, 8 sacks, 3 interceptions, 37 tackles for a loss. Super productive in the Power 4, whether it was the first 3 years when Oklahoma was in the Big 12 or last year in the SEC. From 2022 to 2024, Danny Stutsman started 37 consecutive games on that Oklahoma Sooners defense. He's very durable, and he's a damn good player. He is your traditional sideline-to-sideline tackler. Again, not a huge pass rusher, 8 sacks over a 4-year period, but you don't need him to do that, especially in the 3-4 defense. I really like the potential of a Danny Stutsman. I think the 3-4 defense, though, matters because we talked about DeMarco Jackson, Nafai Sewell, Jalen Ford. If one of them can prove that they can move outside into that 3-4, be that de facto outside linebacker D-end hybrid, that frees up the logjam in the middle as well. So as far as that backup role goes, I think Danny Stutsman's in line to get it. I think he wins that backup role. I think he's your third inside linebacker. Now, whether that means giving a breather to Demario Davis or Pete Werner, or if you need to go to a 3-3-5, do you insert him as your third linebacker? There's endless possibilities with Danny Stutsman. I think he was a steal in the 4th round. And, we had Ross on earlier, and he was talking about, I don't want to overlook the linebacker position, but it's hard to be worried about them with a guy like Demario Davis. I get that. Nobody's really talking about the linebacker position because it's been so solid. It's been the constant on your defense, the most consistent group. Davis, Pete Werner, I just mentioned the talent behind them with Danny Stutsman and company. That group's going to have to be good because the Saints Wire put out an article that Pro Football Focus ranks the Saints defensive line as the worst defensive line in the NFL. Now, look, usually I take what PFF says with a grain of salt. I think their analytics are a little all over the place. But it kind of makes sense. I mean, you look at where they were. I mean, the reasonings make sense. Like, for example, New Orleans ranked near the bottom of the NFL with only 39 sacks, and they were 31st against the run. So 39 sacks total, and the second to worst team in the NFL against the run. You can't stop the run. You can't rush the passer. You're not a good defensive line. When you go look at their grades, the whole NFC South is this way. Okay, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the highest rated defensive front in the NFC South a year ago, and they come in at 27th. Carolina Panthers at 28, Falcons at 30, New Orleans Saints at dead last at 32. So this linebacking core, whether it's Stutsman, whether it's Nafai Sewell, backing up Demario Davis and Pete Werner, is going to have to be really good because you're playing in front of a very questionable defensive line, to put it nicely. You bring back Chase Young. You'll have him and Carl Granderson on the edge. I think those are your two starters. I think there's still a role for Cam Jordan. I mean, he's not even close to the player that he was, 4 years ago, but can you get something out of it? Still have Isaiah Foskey in his third year. Can you finally get something out of him? You spent a second-round pick on him. You also have seventh-round rookie Fadil Diggs and undrafted free agent Jasheem Davis. Fadil Diggs was productive at Syracuse. He put up decent numbers. He made some nice plays. He's a talented player. I'm just not sure how much you can count on him in 2025. As far as the interior, your returners, Brian Bresee, you add Davin Godchall, and you bring back Kalen Saunders and Nathan Shepard. Brian Bresee actually quietly had a really good year a year ago. Like, if I would have told you he had 7.5 sacks from the interior, you probably wouldn't believe me. He had 7.5 sacks in the interior. He actually has 12 sacks total over a 2-year span. He's really good there as far as an interior pass rusher. He's just not good at stopping the run. But if you can get some run stuffers in there like Sewell, like Stutsman, like Demario Davis, like Pete Werner, can they kind of help with that defensive line stopping the run? Now, you're going to need your D-line to step up. You cannot be as bad as you were last year, but can the linebackers help there a little bit? You brought in a little bit of help, but not a ton. Like, you drafted Vernon Broughton in round 3. Broughton was a solid player at Texas. He's a big guy, 6'4", around 300 pounds. 5-year player at Texas, played in 56 games in college. He's played a lot of football. Just 6.5 sacks over that 5-year span, 13 tackles for a loss. Vernon Broughton could be your run stuffer, but what is his role going to look like? You thought Kalen Saunders and Nathan Shepard could be a run stuffer. You pair him with Brian Bresee, who could rush the passer. Neither of them were able to do that this year. What kind of role does Vernon Broughton have on this team moving forward? So the point being, you have questions in the secondary. Your D-line, I think, has more questions than any position group on the field. But your linebackers are actually pretty good. And you have solid, potential young players behind them. If your linebackers can be solid, can they help nullify that running game woes of your defensive line just enough to be a serviceable defense? Look, Brandon Staley is a good defensive coach. He's not going to come in and turn a D-line that was ranked dead last in the NFL into a top 10 D-line in the league. Can you get to 20th? 17th? Can you be a middle-of-the-road defensive line? If you can, and the secondary becomes good as Ross Jackson and others are saying that they have looked in camp, you have solid linebackers, you could actually have a pretty decent defense, but it's all going to come down to that front seven, the linebackers, and of course that D-line up front.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.